Well, hello everybody. It's really wonderful to be back here in Arnhem. Today I think is particularly special because we have Jane Goodall here, which really is such an incredible honour. And also because we have three truly exceptional candidates. That's better. Can you all hear me now? Who really, I've been very impressed by everything that I've seen that they've done so far. For me, it's special to come to Arnhem every year because it's a chance to reconnect again also with all of you who represent a growing legion of animal lovers in Europe whose passion for endangered species around the world can and has made such a difference to their survival. This year is the 100th anniversary of Berger Zoo, and I'm sure that many people in Arnhem and beyond have been inspired to act compassionately towards the natural world because of a special animal encounter that they may have had here as a child. As Bart said, I was born into a family of elephant conservationists, and I live in Kenya with my brood of children. And it's wonderful. But two major issues have been dominating our thoughts in recent months. The first is a general election that will be taking place in about 2 weeks' time, about which we're all rather anxious. The last time we went to the polls 5 years ago, our country erupted in terrible post-election violence that left over 1,000 people dead, 600 people displaced and refugees in their own country, and our government in turmoil. As you can imagine, we are praying for a peaceful outcome this time. The second issue is elephant poaching. In the last 5 years, we have seen a major surge in the illegal killing of elephants after a ceasefire of about 20 years. Unfortunately, an ill-judged relaxing of the ivory trade ban through one-off sales of stockpiles reopened the floodgates of an illegal market in 2008, particularly in China and the Far East. Since then, the illegal killing of elephants has increased exponentially, and towards the end of last year in Kenya, 80% of all elephant carcasses that were being found had been poached. Now, 5 years ago doesn't seem like such a long time. I didn't have kids back then. I certainly didn't expect to be caught up either in post-election violence or have to experience again the heartbreaking resurgence of elephant poaching. Today, both of those things are stark reminders to me of how fragile peace and prosperity can be, whether you are human or elephant, and how important it is to keep on fighting for what you believe in. With the price of ivory now at a record high, and I can give you an example, the tusk of a bull elephant at source is equivalent to about 15 years' salary for a local person. And rhino horn is worth more than the price of gold. We are witnessing rapacious, opportunistic, illegal killing of animals. Profits are now big enough to attract organised crime, and every day rangers face death on the front line. The problem, of course, is Africa-wide, not just in Kenya, and a new sinister angle is the involvement of militias like Sudan's Janjaweed, the Lord's Resistance Army in Uganda, and Somalia's Al-Shabaab, who are all using ivory partly to fund their terrorist activities. And it is estimated that in the last 2 years alone, 50,000 elephants minimum have died in Africa to fuel the illegal ivory trade. From the outside, the situation can appear insoluble. But from the inside, we are still optimistic. Many species have been brought back from the brink. And the battle for the elephants, in which my parents were very much involved, has been won before. And I believe firmly that we will be able to win it again. Despite the ongoing crisis that we're experiencing in Kenya, this year the winds of change have begun to blow. There's been a huge outcry in the press about poaching. Kenyans have been taking to the streets, marching in protest against the poaching of elephants, both in Nairobi and in Mombasa, and the government is sitting up and taking notice. Calls for increased law enforcement and stiffer penalties are creeping up the political agenda, and most importantly, efforts to reach out to the buyers to try and share awareness that ivory doesn't come from, it's not picked up off the ground, which is what many people believe, but it actually comes from dead elephants. These efforts are now beginning to gather momentum. In fact, just last Monday, at a diplomatic event in Nairobi called Ivory and Insecurity, I bumped into a previous Future for Nature winner called Ophir Drury. I'm sure many of you will remember him, who started an organisation, the last Grade 8 organisation that's based in Cameroon. Ophir was one of the most exceptional candidates that we've ever had at Future for Nature. He first came to Africa, inspired in fact by Jane Goodall, to write about the potential extinction of the great apes. And a chance encounter with a baby chimp that was a survivor of the bushmeat trade, which he brazenly rescued, changed his life forever. With absolutely no money at all, he set up a wildlife law enforcement NGO, and he's now managed to spread his work into 6 of the most challenging countries to work in Central Africa, where he's successfully prosecuting wildlife crime and fighting injustice. So I asked him, what drives you to keep on fighting day after day? And he said to me, it's anger. At first, he said he'd fallen in love with Africa and its people. But then seeing the injustice and the suffering and the corruption, he began to get angry. He got particularly angry when he saw how the natural wealth of the forests was being stolen and massacred to line the pockets of a few greedy people. And his indignation, which was fueled, I think, so much by love and compassion, has proved infectious and is affecting real change. And meeting Ophir was a clear example for me of how the passion that the Future for Nature exists to fuel is working, and how this network is spreading around the world and strengthening. It's almost like there are these tentacles of green-tinted consciousness that are embracing the world and allowing a new generation of conservation leaders to link hands, people who are refusing to allow our planet's most precious asset, its diversity of life, to disappear. I often get asked, and it's always a difficult question, why does it matter if the tiger or the Sumatran rhino, or the elephant for that matter, disappear? I mean, really, what difference is it going to make to us? Does anyone miss the woolly mammoth or the dodo? Well, part of the answer, I think, is that every single species matters. But we still don't understand fully the complexities of the web of life. As we deplete the natural world, on which we depend entirely for our own existence, it loses its resilience and its ability to self-propagate. And history shows us that at some point, unchecked exploitation crosses a threshold and leads to ecosystem collapse. While saving species is partly about our own long-term survival, as we find out more about animal intelligence and potential consciousness, it also clearly becomes a moral obligation. The young conservationists that we are celebrating here today have each got their own unique approach to species conservation, and every one of them is successfully gaining breathing space for the animals they work with. They are holding up a torch that can ignite the flame of change, and they need help. Receiving the Future for Nature Award is an important stepping stone for them, giving them international recognition and also critical funds to continue their work. But they need more than that. They need our support too. Being here now together is an incredible opportunity for us to put our heads together and see how we can help. And once you've heard what they have to say, I would urge any of you here who have good ideas or important contacts or potential funding to reach out to these young people, choose one species and help them make a difference. I really I'm so happy to see you all here. I can't believe that we've had so many people coming to support this event. And so really, without further ado, I would like to now introduce the first of our candidates. Samia Saif from Bangladesh is as fearless as the tigers that she protects. Born into a male-dominated culture, she has constantly pushed back the boundaries of prejudice by forging her own path. She graduated from university with a first-class degree, but unlike her peers who all leapt at plush government jobs that would give them an easy life, she followed her heart into the world of conservation. And her first meeting with a tiger set her on her course for life. She is now enrolled for a PhD at the Darul Institute of Conservation and Ecology to explore the nature and scale of tiger poaching in the Sundarban mangrove forest of Bangladesh. What makes Samia special is the way that she's gained the trust and respect of the villagers who surround the Sundarbans. And so she's been able to glean vital information on the cultural and economic forces that are driving poaching activities. She has refused to be cowed by pressure or threats and is blazing a path for conservation in one of the most overpopulated and fragile parts of the planet. Samia, please come onto the stage.